Hello everyone. Merry Christmas. Actually, Merry Christmas Eve. Happy belated Hanukkah. Tonight I am making, because I have so much cooking to do tomorrow, I am going to go ahead and make my homemade macaroni and cheese. I will make it and I will put it in the refrigerator where it will sit overnight and it will be absolutely delicious, so the cheese and all of that really mixes into the pasta. I went ahead and I boiled my pasta ahead of time. Right now I'm putting in a quarter of a cup of butter. I absolutely love these half butters because this is a perfect quarter of a cup. I went ahead and pre-boiled my pasta. I always like to use Rao's. It's a good pasta. My husband is diabetic, and every other pasta that I have cooked with has sent his sugar well over 300. This is the first pasta that I've found where it keeps his sugars relatively low. I don't know what's in it, but what I can tell you, it's probably been some of the best pasta that I've cooked with. So I use penne. If you're going to make a macaroni and cheese, I would recommend use a pasta with a hole in it. I know the butterfly pastas and the other cute pastas, the spirals are really, they're adorable and they're cute. But in order for the cheese and the mixture to get into the pasta, you really want something with a hole in it. So an elbow, a penny, rigatoni would be great. So here I am, I put in my butter and you melt it. And I put it into my Pampered Chef pan. I absolutely love Pampered Chef's pans. You don't even need anything to cook with. And I'm waiting for that to melt. And I'll be honest with you, with making this macaroni and cheese, I rarely really measure the ingredients just because I've made it 100 times. Every which way from Sunday, 100 times. So you'll probably see me doing a lot of it without measurements just because I've made it so many times. And you'll see I have everything on my stove. It's just because I wanted to show you all the ingredients. Once the butter melts, and I've also put it in a pan where you can see the items, because if I put it in a bigger pan, you won't be able to see it. Once the butter melts, I put in 4 tablespoons of flour. This recipe is so easy to make. And I usually do heaping tablespoons. And I just usually grab just a tablespoon. And I hear my dog, he's starting to move around. My daughter, my husband, and my animals are in the living room while I'm doing this, and I don't want to be out here and be on live stream, which is fine. So we put in, I see my pup down here on the ground, he's hoping I drop something. I put in the 4 heaping tablespoons of flour. And if I put too much flour in, I always can put a little bit more butter in. So it's really your preference. I usually use a quarter of a cup of butter, but you can use a half a cup if you want. You mix it up. And once it's all mixed in, then you put in the 4 cups of milk. I use whole milk. Now, if you want to, you can use skim milk. You can use 2%. It's really your choice. And I have this. This is a pouring cup. So I got this from Pampered Chef. I absolutely love this measuring cup. This is not a paid promotion. I don't get any kickback from Pampered Chef whatsoever. When I bought this, I just absolutely love it. So this is a perfect 4 cups. And you can pour from either side. Put a little bit in at a time. Stir it up. So what's everyone's doing for the holiday tomorrow? Tonight I went to church. It was a great service. The pastor delivered a great message about Jesus being the light of the world. And we went out to dinner. And of course, Mom being stressed and everything going on, I yelled at my daughter in the restaurant, please tell me someone else done that besides me. And as this starts thickening up, and I had to apologize because that was wrong, I put a little bit more in. Continue to stir. One thing I love about macaroni and cheese is it's so versatile. It's a good meal in and of itself. It can be a meal by itself. You can also add more pasta to it. You can make a buffalo chicken mac and cheese, which is very yummy. What you do is just take some chicken, boil it, and shred it. You can also, and I use Frank's hot sauce. It has a really good flavor. Or you can put some pork in it, shredded pork, shredded beef. I mean, this is so versatile. You can add anything to it. Another good meal, if you're on a budget and you're trying to stretch it, you could go ahead and add into it some cream and mushroom soup. And anything else, you can add peas to it. You can add any veggies to it. Broccoli is great. I haven't tried it with cauliflower. I'm sure that would, I'm not quite sure how that would do, but I'm sure it would be great. But you can add anything into macaroni and cheese, and it's a meal. And when you have leftover macaroni and cheese, you can say, you know what? I want to have something else for dinner. I would like to eat my macaroni and cheese so I don't waste it. Let me go ahead and throw some chicken in there. Let me go ahead and throw some hot sauce in there. I mean, you can just use it for several meals and just make it like it's brand new. And I'm just stirring the milk, letting the flour and butter mixture blend in. Go ahead and put the milk away while that continues. And if you want to, you can go ahead and put some half and half in here. That will make it a little bit creamier. I would not say put a lot in there, just a little bit. Maybe a quarter of a cup. And I'm doing that by sight. Now, as I'm stirring this up, I had my husband earlier. One of the things I use shredded cheese as I'm making the roux. One of the things I cannot do is shred cheese. At Thanksgiving, I made this and had my daughter shred it. And the problem is I always end up shredding part of my fingers. I don't know why. I can't explain it. So my husband was gracious enough to go ahead and shred my cheese for me. I use 3 different flavors of cheese. I use because I am from the north, you can use any flavors you want. I used a seriously sharp cheddar cheese. I used a sharp cheddar cheese, and I also used a mild cheddar cheese. And I add this in a little bit at a time. You're wondering what I'm making homemade macaroni and cheese. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let it sit overnight. When I stir this. Add some salt and pepper. You don't need a whole lot of salt because the cheese is salty in and of itself, so you don't need a lot of salt. I put more pepper than I do salt in. And you also put salt in your macaroni water. And yes, it looks like I'm using a lot of pepper, but by the time I get to the end of this, it will not look like I've used a lot of pepper. You can also, some people put paprika in this. There's all kinds of, just like I said, macaroni and cheese is so versatile. You can also put paprika in it. You can put some other spices in it. It's really your choice, your decision. My husband bought some blow-ups for the front yard, but instead we ended up putting them in our bedroom. And my little doggy, we have Bob the Minion, who is just so absolutely adorable. My husband is obsessed with minions. And my little doggy is afraid of Bob the Minion. So we blow them up just because we like the blow-ups. They're 4 feet. And every time we blow up Bob the Minion, my dog, he just lays there and stares at him the whole time. So it's actually quite humorous to watch my dog. He's only 10 pounds, and unfortunately, when we were up in Blue Ridge, Georgia, he ended up with bladder stones, and he just had to go through bladder stones removal surgery. He's 10 pounds, and they kept blocking his urethra, so we had to put him through surgery. Now, last night, I made cinnamon rolls. If you guys watched, I made homemade cinnamon rolls, and they sent my husband's sugar up to over 300. I also made some Ghirardelli chocolate chip cookies, and just because they sent my husband's sugar up, this is the roux for the macaroni and cheese. Just because they sent my husband's sugar up, I'm going to go ahead. I saw our neighbor Chris walking as we were coming home from church. And Chris, he's like Mikey. If any of you are my age and you can remember Mikey, he'll eat anything. So I put the cinnamon rolls in the freezer. I put the Ghirardelli chocolate chip cookies in the freezer. And when I see Chris, he's having a party tonight, so I'm not going over there while he's having a party. I'm going to go ahead and give him the cinnamon rolls and the cookies. So I'm putting in more of the cheese that my husband shredded for me. I use usually 3 cubes. You can put 4 cubes in. I try to use 3 different types of cheese. And I always try to make sure it's all shredded up nicely. Just makes it makes a better roux. And I see some pieces that he didn't get, so I'm going to put those aside. And if you're just joining, I am making homemade macaroni and cheese. The roux, I start out with 1/4 cup of butter. And after I dissolve the butter, I go ahead and put in 4 tablespoons of heaping tablespoons of flour. And then after that's all mixed together and it's nice and smooth, hello everyone, it is delicious. It's nice and smooth. I go ahead and I put in 4 cups of milk. You're welcome to use any type of milk you want. I use whole milk, and then what I do is I put in, just to give it some more creaminess, I put in 1/4 cup of half and half. And then my husband, I already boiled the pasta. And if you're going to make macaroni and cheese, I always recommend you use pasta with a hole in it, because it's just a whole lot better and it absorbs the cheese mixture. And right now I'm making the roux that will go over the macaroni and cheese. And I had my husband shred 3 different types of cheese to go ahead and put in here. You can put salt and pepper in it. I did put a lot of pepper in it. I don't put a whole lot of salt in it because cheese is salty in and of itself. And when I use the butter, I use unsalted butter. So I'm making the roux, and you can see everything's on my counter, and I did that intentionally so you guys could see it all. And what I'm going to do is, once I make this and it gets nice and thick, I will go ahead and put the pasta in it, and I'm going to let it sit overnight. And this way everything absorbs into it. And then in the morning what I'll do is I'll put it in the oven for 45 minutes. And I will have my husband shred some more cheese, because I bought 4 sticks tonight. This way, as it gets closer to getting done, I will put some more cheese over it so I can really brown up the top nicely. And I'm making it tonight because I like it to sit overnight. It gives it a better flavor. So as my roux is cooking, one of my friends who absolutely, if you've seen some of my other live streams, you know I absolutely love to cook and I love to bake. There's 3 things that I love besides my family. I absolutely adore my family and life. I am passionate about my relationship with my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I love baking and cooking, and I love to go kayaking. Unfortunately, because my dog's been sick, we haven't had a chance to get on the water. My husband and I are hoping in January, if I'm not in trial, to go ahead and get back on the water. And if I'm in trial the whole month of January, as it looks like I'll be in trial the whole month of January, it may not be until February, but rest assured, we're going to get back on the water, and you guys will be able to see some of those adventures. If you guys have any ideas of where you would like me to film some live streams from kayaking adventures, let me know. We live in the state of Florida, and I will tell you, today we went to church, and I had to put on my Christmas sweater. After all, it's Christmas, right? Both my husband and I grew up in upstate New York, where we're used to snow and cold weather. And I still, for the life of me, cannot get used to palm trees and 80-degree weather. I had my Christmas sweater on with 80-degree weather. I was dying in church. Usually church is so cold, but not tonight. And once the roux gets made, you can see it. Go ahead and start putting in some of my pasta. I made the pasta ahead of time. Like I said, I use the roux pasta. My husband is diabetic, and the other pastas really mess with his sugars badly. And this is the first pasta we actually found that, pardon me, I'm gonna use my hands, that does not mess with his sugar. So he's able to eat some of this pasta meals I make, which has been absolutely amazing, because for so many years he would refrain away from them. And I love to make macaroni and cheese. I love to make all kinds of stuff with pasta. I am a carb junkie. And so once we found the roux pasta, it is a little bit more expensive, but I will tell you, it is probably some of the best pasta you'll buy. And if you're diabetic, if you have a loved one in your family that is diabetic, I would recommend you using that pasta. Put the rest of the pasta in. I bake my pasta, I bake my macaroni and cheese, not everyone does. You can do stovetop, you could go ahead and cook this until it dissolves down. I like to bake it. I think that's just the way I was raised making it. So I don't think there's any good or a bad way, but this is what it looks like. I'll show you. That's what it looks like. I'm going to put a little bit more pepper in it. Like I said, macaroni and cheese is so versatile at this point. If you want to add more protein, I would go ahead and at this point, I would add your chicken in. I would also, if you're going to add veggies, add in your broccoli or whatever other veggie you want. So as it sits overnight, it really soaks it up. And if you're going to go ahead and make a buffalo chicken mac and cheese, go ahead and add in your hot sauce at this point. I'm going to put a little bit more pepper on it. It's done. I'm going to go ahead and put it in this pan and let it sit overnight and cook it in the morning. So I'll go ahead and probably not live stream the final result. I'll probably just go ahead and video it and put it up on YouTube. Thank you guys for watching. As I said, have a Merry Christmas, Happy belated Hanukkah, and I hope you guys get everything you wish for. Merry Christmas, everyone. Thank you for watching.